Hey guys, today we're going to be taking a look at how you can train at home for cheap because currently this stuff is like crack cocaine. As most of you know, it is really hard to find ammo right now to do training because of the ammo being so expensive. And even if you can find it for a decent price, it is really hard to even find in stock. So I'm going to do a quick video showing some of the ways that I know how to still be able to train and get good reps in without having to spend a ton of money on ammo. Some of the methods I'm going to show you in this video are going to be free, and the other methods are going to cost you a little bit of money right up front. And then after that, it's going to be really, really cheap to train and get good reps in. The very first method I want to show, because I think it's the coolest, is this right here. Actually, I'm just going to show you because it's cool. So this is a Cool Fire trainer. It's actually a barrel that you get in a recoil system that you put in your own gun. That's my favorite part about this, is it's not an airsoft gun replica, which is also a really cool way to train. If you're into that, you can use airsoft guns because they're very similar. You get that blowback sometimes, and it's a cool way to train because you get a projectile. But I think this is even better because you get to put it in your own personal firearm, because the airsoft replica 34 that I get doesn't have my SRO, Bros, or Surefire, or the stippling that I have, and the Kegs works. So being able to put it in your own firearm, you get to train with your own gun versus training with a gun that's very similar. So I think that's a really cool pro to this system. I'm gonna be putting the prices on all these as I'm talking about them in the lower part, so if you want to know the price. But this is just a really cool thing to be able to go out and be able to get good reps in, because you can work on recoil management, you can work on getting that red dot back to where you want to go, or your sights if you don't have a red dot, and it just is probably the most realistic dry fire that you can do at your own house. The only downfall that I've been able to find with this system is the fact that you can only get about 20 shots per fill. So you got to get the CO2 tank, you push it in here, fills back up, and then you get to shoot 20 more times. So that would be the only downfall if I had to find something. Other than that, it is a really cool system. So you can set up targets around your house. So I'll usually go off like a light switch, and then I'll switch over to like a candle or something over here and be able to switch, so you don't have to stick up stuff if you don't want to. So you can make it really simple. And it's just a lot of fun to be able to work on transitions, work on getting that dot back on target. And instead of dry fire where you have to click and then rack, click, then rack, this actually gives you the recoil, so you don't have to do that. So as you can see, it's going down a little bit, which I'll let it all out here. So as you can see, there you go, it is now a lot less. So you would have to refill it and continue to go. So that would be the only downfall, but other than that, this is probably the most realistic one that you can get. Next thing you can try is switching to 22 or a 22 conversion. So this is a 22 conversion bolt for an AR-15. You throw this in your AR, and then you use these mags with 22, and it shoots just fine. It's actually really cool how it works, pretty much flawlessly, and I've been using it for the last probably 6 months to train my rifle, just because it's so much cheaper. And if you're like me, you already have a couple bricks of 500 or 22, so you can run through that and not feel really bad shooting it, because it's a lot more inexpensive. So definitely something to look into. The conversions are expensive at first. You have to put a lot of money right up front, but it makes up for it over time as you're continuing to train with this. Now, you do have to realize there are limitations to this, because you're not getting the felt recoil and a couple other things, so you just need to make sure you change your training and what you're doing to work with this system. But basically, the way I'm going to explain it is this is kind of like a dry fire on crack. You're able to get a lot more than just the normal dry fire. You're getting a audible ring. You're knowing if you're hitting your target, missing. You're getting a slight recoil. You're getting the ability to transition targets and continue shooting, opposed to dry fire where you're just racking, shoot, rack, shoot. This is a really cool way to upgrade your training and spend a lot less money. Then again, of course, you can go with just a 22 handgun. You can get a Glock 22 conversion slide where you can just shoot a 22 out of your Glock, or you can go a Glock 44 if you really wanted to. But what I do is I just use a 22 handgun, and I still am able to get the same concepts, the same movements, muscle memory. It's just going to be a little less recoil, but it's a lot cheaper, and I'm not burning through all my funds or all my ammo, and I'm able to still continue to get good reps in and get good training in. Again, just know your limitations with all of these. That goes for everything, not just the 22 conversion. All of these have limitations. It's a really big benefit to be able to use these and save money and continue to train, but they do have their limitations. Know each of them for each system that you're going to use, and continue to work and get good reps. So moving on to the Mantis. A lot of you may have already seen this. I've been using this for a little while. This is something that you just put right here on your pick rail. It clips on there, you connect it to your cell phone, and then basically you're just gonna dry fire. So you'll click, you'll do your dry fire, and then it'll send a signal directly to your phone. It'll show exactly where your bullet went, where your gun was when you were pulling your trigger. It's a really cool system to be able to see if you have the time to set up your phone and look at your phone and go off of that. This is something that I've used quite a bit, and I think it does help a lot. And it shows you really where you're making mistakes and where you can do better. So it's a cool little system. It's got a lot of things that you can do with it. I have not made a full review yet on this. I may, if there's a lot of demand. If you guys are interested, I'll make a full review on it. But on the screen there, I already showed you guys some of the stuff that it does, and on the screen to give you the menu. If you have a gun that doesn't have a pick rail or really small, you can also stick this to your magazine and still be able to get that same concept and be able to do dry fire practice with it as well. Next, I'm sure a lot of you guys have seen these before. It's one of these little laser cartridges where basically you put it in your gun, and then every time you dry fire, it shoots a little laser and it shows you where that bullet would have went. So this is a cool little way to dry fire if you're into dry fire and want to improve your dry fire and how you do it, because you can now see exactly where that's going. The downfall being there's a lot of these out there by a lot of different companies. Make sure you're getting them from a reputable company, if you will, because the cheaper ones, the laser's not actually right. So you'll point it and shoot and it'll be off on your sights or your red dot. It won't be exactly where you're aiming. So in my mind, that's not giving you good reps if you're thinking you hit somewhere. So you're trying to fix something when it's not even aimed correctly to your sights or your red dot. So be wary about these. Make sure you're getting a good reputable one and one that actually works really well. But if you're gonna go for something, I would probably recommend something a little bit more expensive, and make sure you're not getting one of the cheaper ones from like China or something, because those are probably gonna be the ones you're gonna have issues with. Now, the last one I'm going to give you is your good old-fashioned dry fire. This is very simple. You can do. This is absolutely free. Doesn't cost you anything but your time and patience. All you have to do is be able to draw your gun, put it to where you want to shoot, dry fire the gun, and then you can rack it and continue to do that process. The only downfall is it gets kind of boring, because obviously you're just pulling the trigger and nothing happens. It's not like these other ones where there's lasers and blowback and some computer system to look at. So it's a little bit more boring, but it's absolutely free, so that's pretty cool. And if you look at T-Rex Arms did a test with that gentleman that did airsoft, and he did a lot of dry fire practice. It does transfer over to firearms, and that's always been a question. People are like, oh, does dry fire really actually work? Because when you get the gun, there's recoil and all this other stuff that you have to add to it. Dry fire absolutely 100% works. If you guys haven't seen that video, check it out. It's actually really cool. It definitely works. It takes time, a little bit of patience, and the only kind of step back is the fact that you can only do so much. You can only work on your draws, sight alignment, and then that trigger press. Other than that, you're kind of stuck right there. You can't go to transitions. You can't go to continuing to do follow-up shots, because you have to rack the gun unless you have a hammer fire gun that you can continue to shoot, which in that instance, it's a little bit more fun because you can actually continue to shoot the gun and be able to work on those transitions. But if you have something like a Glock striker fire, you're not going to be able to do that because you're stuck to one shot, and then you have to rack and then continue. So really something that's good for this is new shooters working on your draw, sight alignment, grip, trigger press, which that was a horrible grip I just did there, as I'm talking about grip. So working on that stuff, being able to get your gun up, shooting that first shot, and then continuing to do that just to be able to get that muscle memory in of being able to draw your gun and get it in sights and on a target. So it's a cool thing. It works. It's just not nearly the frilly one as this one where you shoot and the slide goes back and it's a lot more fun. So these are just a couple of different ways that I like to train. There are some other ways out there. This is just the ones that I have personally used and I actually really like. It's really inexpensive compared to what you'll be spending on ammo. And there's gonna be people out there that are gonna be like, that's ridiculous. How is that inexpensive? You're spending $300 on a barrel to switch. It's not for everybody. If you don't train that much and you don't spend that much on ammo, then this might not be your thing. I usually went through 500 to 1,000 rounds of ammo a month. So for me, this is a lot more cheap. And for those of you that actually do that and go out and train a lot, it's gonna be a lot cheaper for you as well. So not for everybody, but if it is, there's kind of a system for each person. So if you don't shoot enough, do dry fire and don't spend any money, or just get a laser. Or if you do a ton of training, go with the Cool Fire Trainer or the 22 conversion bolt, and then anywhere in between like the Mantis. So it's not gonna be for everybody, but this is just a way that I'm trying to help you guys to find different ways to be able to train and get out there and practice. If you guys wanna help support my channel and things that I do here, there's a couple ways to do that. There's a link to my website down there that go to other links like Brownells, Aero Precision. Anything you purchase using my links gives me a small kickback, and it helps me out a lot, and I appreciate it. If not, there's also discount codes below. Those discounts will help give you guys a discount on products like these, save a little bit of money, and along the way, it helps support my channel, which is a really big benefit for me, especially when ammo costs is so expensive trying to test all these different firearms, which this is a new one that I'm testing. So definitely costs money to do these videos. So I appreciate it if you guys do that. If not, not a big deal. I just appreciate you guys being here, liking, sharing, and subscribing. Thank you guys so much. Also, another company that supports me a ton is Howitzer. Absolutely love this company. They donate 5% of proceeds to charities, which is really, really cool. This is the Chris Kyle collection, really cool collection that they have on their website. So if you guys want to check those out and pick up some for yourself, there's a link down in the description as well. So thank you guys so much. I don't want to make this video any longer than it needs to be. So I'm going to get out of here. I appreciate you all. Keep training. Thank you.